West Yorkshire Police, in their ever-increasing attempt to vilify men, have now created a voluntary position within what they call an independent advisory group for violence against women and girls. You know, because men can't be the victims of violence from women. The advert posted on the force's website says that West Yorkshire Police are committed to creating an environment where women and girls can feel safe and be safe within West Yorkshire, free from harassment. I'd suggest disbanding the police force then. I mean, as opposed to creating an environment where every member of society can feel safe and be safe in a county, of course. It goes on to say that all men play a critical role in this work. The Violence Against Women and Girls Men's Independent Advisory Group creates a safe space for men to speak openly, have challenging, constructive and reflective conversations about violence against women and girls agenda and the critical role men play in the solution in keeping women and girls safe and feeling safe. I mean, I'm pretty sure that women too, as well as the police, have a role to play in women's safety as well. I mean, making the right decisions, for example, would be a prime example of women taking their role in keeping themselves safe seriously. Now, I'm obviously not trying to make it about what they wear or anything like that, as women should be allowed to dress exactly how they please, or how I please. But with the knowledge that crimes will never stop, police will never be able to prevent all crimes, then people should be thinking about what they're going to do before they go and do it. For example, there's certain places in Liverpool that I would not go after dark on my own. If I went there and I was robbed, shot or otherwise a victim of crime, then although it shouldn't have happened, I knew there was a chance of it happening and made the conscious choice to go anyway. Therefore, in my mind, my stupidity would have got me into a situation I knew would likely have happened. Relating that to women, for example, accepting drinks from strangers. Now, it doesn't make it right if you turn out to be a victim of a crime because you've accepted a drink, but the idea of accepting a drink from a stranger in this day and age has a risk, and when people take those risks, they should know it was a choice that they made that put them at more risk. Now, reading this back and listening to myself talk, it sounds a bit like I'm trying to victim blame, and I am certainly not trying to do that. The perpetrator of the crime is to blame. But when people don't use their brains and make stupid choices, knowing there's a risk to them, well, things could unfortunately happen. Also, let's not forget that more than half the amount of women who are victims of domestic abuse from men are men victims from female domestic abuse. The Office for National Statistics says that in 2018, 4.2% of men and 7.8% of women suffered domestic abuse in England and Wales. Of course, no one should suffer abuse at home or anywhere for that matter, but this make it all about protecting women and girls, vilifying all men, is doing nothing for society, nor does it do much for the police, when they are supposed to be protecting everybody equally. The advert continues. Certain crimes and behaviours disproportionately affect women and girls, manifest themselves in different ways, and demand targeted solutions. Crimes such as domestic abuse, rape, female genital mutilation, stalking, harassment and digital crimes such as cyber flashing, revenge porn and upskirting are taking place every day. Behaviours in public and the workplace such as catcalling, wolf whistling and sexualised comments all further compound these issues and disproportionately affect and impact on women and girls. A clever use of words there by West Yorkshire Police. Disproportionately. Of course, all but one of those examples can and do happen to men as well. The next part, I think, is maybe not such a clever use of words, as they go on to say. The tragic cases of Sarah Everard, Julia James, Bibba Henry and Nicole Smallman touched us all, but for every high-profile case there are sadly many more. We must honour these women and girls by doing more to prevent violence, support victims and pursue perpetrators. The West Yorkshire Police Violence Against Women and Girls strategy presents our next step in doing so. Of course, completely overlooking the fact that Sarah Everard was kidnapped, raped and murdered by a serving Metropolitan Police Constable. And although Nicole Smallman and Bibba Henry were killed by a member of the public, they were further insulted by 2 Metropolitan Police Constables, taking pictures of their bodies and sharing them. Just to note that their killer was Danielle Hussein, a very English looking fella. As for Julia James, she was a Kent Police Community Support Officer who, as if to my complete surprise, was killed by Callum Wheeler, another remarkably English looking lad. Even one of the Twant Metropolitan coppers who photographed Bibba's and Nicole's bodies was Eastern European. Now it seems to me that there's a bit of a pattern or two emerging from these examples. Either police perpetrators or non-English perpetrators seem to be the common factors in these example cases used by West Yorkshire Police. But of course it's all men who have to bear the brunt of this targeted attack on the male of the species. The West Yorkshire Police advert ends by saying that the Violence Against Women and Girls Men's Independent Advisory Group consultation will influence decision making which focuses on how we design and deliver our policing services and how we become more inclusive as an employer. Now to me this is simply another attempt at virtue signalling and no doubt create another funnel for the force to siphon money off. Although the volunteers won't be paid, they will have to pump money into the scheme and pay the police staff running it. Now, although I genuinely wish the country was a safer place for women and girls, I equally wish the country was a safer place for everyone, including all children, not just girls. And to me, this is yet again creating more divides between people and creating more subsections of society that will be indoctrinated into fighting against one another, being in fear of one another, and whilst we're all fighting or worrying about each other, the police and the government will simply sit back, rubbing their hands together and laugh at how easy society is to manipulate, safe in the knowledge that while we're infighting, we can't and won't all come together to fight our common enemies, the politicians and the corrupt law enforcers.